The cinema opens on a flight en route to Novosibirsk, Russia. Among the passengers, a 7-year-old girl named Katerina and her mother. Shortly following the landing announcement, the plane begins to lose control, which scares Katerina, who can't find her mother. Instead, she spots a mysterious old lady behind her, chanting some strange words. Katerina then passes out from fear right before the plane crashes into the ground. Katerina unbelievably survives the crash, being able to get up and walk away from the site. 20 years later, Katerina now has a daughter of her own named Diana, and is interviewed by reporters about her experience as a plane crash survivor. Reluctant to reveal any details, she tells the reporter she does not like to think about that day, as she has managed to cope with her pain and wants to focus on her life now working as a psychiatrist. Diana then interferes and distracts the reporter, telling him they are going to meet her grandpa soon, as her mother is no longer afraid of flying. The next night, Katerina and Diana board a mostly empty plane, as many passengers canceled their plans due to bad weather. The only other passengers include a businessman named Nikolai, a reporter named Alexei, an old couple Yevgeny and Galina, a socially awkward artist Pavel, and 2 cabin staff members. As soon as the takeoff announcement is made, Galina becomes scared and asks the attendants to let her get off the plane. Seeing this, Katerina goes to distract her and provides her some tablets to help her calm down. Meanwhile, Nikolai asks Pavel about his drawings, but when he says it is something that helps him see things, Nikolai assumes he is an addict, as he is not making sense. The plane's engines switch on and Katerina suddenly feels uncomfortable, locking herself in the bathroom to take the tablets while the attendants go over the safety instructions. Katerina suddenly has a vision of herself in her childhood home, but the attendant cracks her out of it when asking her to return to her seat. When Alexei asks about the reason behind her condition, Diana says him about the plane crash incident and that her mom was the only survivor. As everyone settles in, Alexei says about his profession and tells Katerina he is a former war correspondent who has served in almost every combat zone in the world. After a while, everyone begins to fall asleep. Katerina has a dream where she asks her mother if the scar on her leg will heal soon, but her mom tells her that it might stay with her for the rest of her life. Katerina then sees her mother at mirror as burnt and wounded and asks her if she died in the plane crash, but her mother tells her it's just a nightmare and nothing happened to them. Katerina does not believe her when suddenly her mother becomes possessed. Katerina wakes up from her dream as the plane starts shaking from turbulence. As the passengers try to calm their nerves, Yevgeny suddenly has a cardiac arrest. Being a doctor, Katerina hurries over and starts examining him. As she tries to give him CPR, he gets up and grabs her before falling to the ground dead, while Katerina notices a strange shadow creep behind the seats. Katerina rushes back to a scared Diana and promises her that she won't leave her again. Trying to settle things down, the attendant Inessa asks everyone to return to their seats. This upsets Nikolai because he considers they are not paying enough care to the old man's death. Although annoyed by his attitude, Inessa tells him they must obey the rules to ensure everyone's safety. Galina, however, cannot stop crying for her dead husband, so the passengers decide to carry him to the back seat and cover his body with a blanket, while Katerina diverts Diana by asking her to draw something. Katerina then tells Alexei about the strange woman she saw, claiming her responsible for the old man's death, adding that the lady needs to kill her because she was the only one to survive the crash all those years ago. Alexei is confused by her claims, and says that the man's death was completely natural, swearing that there is no strange woman on the plane and that Katerina is just confused because of her pills. Calming herself once again, Katerina then goes to Galina and asks her apologies for failure in saving her husband's life and asks her to sit with them, but Galina politely declines, saying she wants to be with her husband. Then Katerina comes back to Diana. She sees her drawing of a plane where they are sitting in the backseat, and Diana asks to change their seats. Continuing their chat, Alexei tells her that he also survived a serious blast by terrorists during one of his assignments and has been using the same pills as Katerina. Katerina once again claims she heard her mother's voice before takeoff and thinks she was trying to warn her about something. Nikolai then tries to talk to Pavel again, telling him that he has been traveling for over a week and just wants to go home to his family now. He also shows him pictures of his daughters, but Pavel keeps drawing something which is shown to be a sketch of Nikolai. Katerina is still convinced that something's wrong and mentions that her leg scar has disappeared despite seeing it that morning. She also debates about how strange it is that a passenger died but they did not hear anything from the captain. But Alexei thinks he is already dealing with a snowstorm and can't risk dividing his attention. Alexei's hand then starts trembling and he tells Katerina that he is also getting sick of this weird flight. Turning to Diana, Katerina sees her talking to someone. Diana reveals it's a girl telling her that Katerina will leave her again, but she assures her it won't happen. Inessa makes another announcement that due to the snowstorm, they will be forced to change their plan and will be landing in Novosibirsk, the same place Katerina's doomed plane was headed 20 years earlier. Katerina grows suspicious of the attendants' cold behavior and mentions there is something wrong with them as they are not being helpful at all. After a while, a strange liquid starts dripping on Nikolai's shoes, which adds to his frustration, and he decides to go for a smoke. Diana then tells Katerina that the girl just told her that she will leave her as soon as the man is set on fire. This makes Katerina think of Nikolai, who is lighting his cigarette. She attempts to stop him, but before she can, the flame reacts with the liquid on him. They rush to help him, but he is completely burnt and nearly dead. While the attendants try to give him first aid, Katerina rushes back to Diana but has another vision about her life with Diana as they plan their trip. The vision then takes a horrific turn as Katerina finds Diana locked inside a room, and even though she keeps knocking on the door, she can't hear anything. Galina snaps her out, and Diana tells her she just walked past and did not even identify her. Katerina enfolds her tightly and asks her to forgive her carelessness. Alexei intrudes their conversation, asking Katerina to help Nikolai. Katerina rushes back to him and Inessa tells her his airways are blocked and he is not capable to breathe. After stabilizing him, Katerina treats her hand, which was also burnt in the fire, and shares with Alexei that her visions are becoming clearer and she has begun to confuse them with reality. Looking Pavel still drawing despite all the chaos around him, Katerina loses her cool and shouts at him for being so self-centered, but Alexei stops her by reminding her that Diana is looking her in fear. Suddenly, Nikolai starts mumbling something and tries to reach his phone. Pavel quickly pulls it out and shows him his family picture before he succumbs to his injuries. As everyone is distressed by the strange deaths on board, Katerina apologizes to Pavel for her rude behavior. Pavel mentions that he does not want to hurt anyone but often gets lost while drawing. While walking back to Diana, as Katerina unintentionally touches her necklace, Pavel asks her about it. She reveals it's a gift from her mom which she thinks brings luck to her. Pavel then advises her to hold it even tighter. At this point, Katerina understands that Galina has been in the bathroom for a while. After informing the attendants, she starts knocking on the door and calling her name, but there is no response. Katerina insists they unlock the door, but Inessa starts arguing with her while forcing her to go back to her seat. Katerina does not listen to her and continues her efforts. They finally give in and unlock the door, but there are no signs of Galina. Katerina has another panic attack that Yevgeny tries to catch her and thinking the shadow is trying to choke her after pinning her to the seats. After assuring herself it's just her thoughts, she thinks about leaving the plane and asks Diana to go with her, but before they can proceed, Alexei's behavior suddenly changes extremely and he tries to stop them. Katerina becomes afraid, understanding he is siding with Inessa, and starts accusing them of killing the other passengers. Alexei suddenly bleeds to death while the attendant's eyes turn completely white and drops dead as well. Katerina spots Pavel drawing the exact pictures from her visions and asks him about the exit as he turns to ash. Katerina and Diana cross the door to the other cabin but discover themselves stuck in a loop, finally ending up at a cabin totally different from the previous ones. Then we see a new scene as it is revealed that none of this was real and Katerina is still on the doomed plane. The old lady tells Katerina that she put her to sleep because she did not want her to face the misery of her death, and all the visions she had been seeing are from the future she would have if she survives. The lady tells Katerina that she is releasing her from her sleep spell and now her destiny is in her own hands. We then see the passengers of the plane are the same people Katerina has been interacting with in the future. As the plane begins to fall, Katerina rushes to the back and manages to get her mother. Alexei and all the other passengers die one by one as the plane hits the ground. The only part of the plane to stay in one piece is row 19, where Katerina led her mother and they both survived the crash. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe our channel, like and share this video and hit your comments.